So contribution for 2010, we know the sales value 24 lakhs. So we need to apply the PV ratio because everywhere we need to apply the PV ratio. 20%, 4,80,000 is a contribution. Required sales, the formula total fixed cost, okay, plus desired profit divided by PV ratio. Everywhere we are applying a PV ratio. The fixed cost value we know 25,000. The contribution per unit we calculated with the help of marginal cost statement. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to one and all. I am Natesh, lecturer in commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU, the Temple of Excellence. We are in the Unit 4, Session 4, 4th semester BCom. Costing methods and technique. The chapter name is marginal costing, and today my agenda. So marginal costing problem in the last session, which is related to 1 year, now it is 2 years related information is given. So of course we can find out as a management tool. So at the time of comparing 2 years, okay, so from the following particular, calculate PV ratio. First one, we need to calculate PV ratio. And with the help of the ratio, whatever we are calculating PV ratio, with the help of the ratio, find out the following. The first one, we will find out fixed cost and the contribution for both the period and the break-even point, okay, so which is applicable for only for the sales, okay, which is not applicable for the units. And the margin of safety for 2 years, we will find out using a different formula. And the profit, when sales are 22 lakhs, when the sales value 22 lakhs, you need to find out the profit. So there is information is given, the sales required to earn. There is one more question, sales required to earn. When the profit, if you are expecting a 4 lakh, what is the sales is required? Now there are year sales profit, 2 years is given, 2010 is the previous year and 2011 is the current year. The 2 years sales, okay, and the 2 years profit also given. The formula for PV ratio, increasing in the profit, PV ratio formula, increasing in the profit divided by increasing in the sale. Obviously we can find out there is a increase, sales 4 lakhs are increase here, or 80,000 are increase profit. So we will calculate separately for finding the increasing value. So 2011 we know 28 lakh sales, 2010 24 lakhs. If you try to subtract 4 lakhs, which is the increasing in sale. Okay, now moving to find out increasing profit. How? 2011 profit 2,60,000 minus 1,80,000. If you subtract the difference, we are getting 80,000, which is an increasing in the profit. Easily we can apply the formula after getting. So in the numerator, increasing profit value 80,000, denominator increasing in sales 4 lakhs, the into 100, if you do 20% we are getting. The first question, calculate the fixed cost. Calculate the fixed cost. The fixed cost, how we are calculating, the based on the sales, we will find out the contribution on sales. So in the vertical also 2 columns, so which is required for 2010 and 2011, and horizontal also 2010 and 2011 because separate calculations, okay. So at the time of 2010, sales is the 24 lakhs, PV ratio we know 20%. If you multiply, so we are getting 4,80,000 in front of 2010 we are writing. In 2011 we are not writing because the calculation is applicable for 2010. Now moving to 2011, the sales value 2,80,000 is given. Even the PV ratio, everywhere we need to apply the PV ratio. So 20% means in 2011 column we are writing a 5,60,000, okay. Now from this we need to subtract the respected profit which is applicable for the year, and the profit is given for both the year, okay, and 2010 profit 1,80,000 and 2011 sales profit is 2,60,000. If you subtract the fixed cost, we are getting same, okay. So once we get the fixed cost, next moving to the contribution. The question is find out the contribution for both year. So directly we can say which is also a contribution directly, but calculation, separate calculation. So contribution for 2010, we know the sales value 24 lakhs. So we need to apply the PV ratio because everywhere we need to apply the PV ratio. 20%, 4,80,000 is a contribution. So 2011, the sales value 2,28 lakhs into 20% PV ratio. So 5,60,000, both year contribution we calculated. So moving to break-even sales using a different formula. The break-even sales, very simple formula, fixed cost divided by PV ratio. Everywhere we are applying a PV ratio which is clearly specified in the question. So total fixed cost we got 3 lakh into 100 divided by 20%. So 15 lakhs is a break-even sales. Now moving to the margin of safety. Okay, margin of safety, the formula PV ratio, profit divided by PV ratio. Profit we know in 2010, okay, the profit is 2,60,000. So if you try to apply the PV ratio directly, how we are calculating? So we are depending a PV ratio here. So obviously we need to calculate the PV ratio, whatever we calculated in the, okay, so the contribution and the contribution break-even sales PV ratio we calculated already 20%. Okay, so the same thing, the profit for 2010 2,60,000 into 100 PV ratio, if you apply to divided by 20, so the profit for 2010 9 lakhs we are getting. Okay, so once again, margin of safety, the formula 2010, the formula is very simple. Profit divided by PV ratio. Profit for 2010 1,80,000 to 2010 to 1,80,000 divided by 20 into 100 because PV ratio we are considering. So finally we are getting 9 lakhs. Okay, again one more formula to find out BEP in sales. Actual sales we know in 2010 24 lakhs. The BEP sales we got 9 lakh. If you try to subtract the difference, what we are getting here 15 lakhs, we need to subtract the BEP sales. Okay, so finally the same answer we are getting. The again 2011 also we know the 2011 sales value profit is given 2,60,000. Again we are applying a PV ratio 2,60,000 into 100 divided by 20. So 13 lakhs we are getting. And one more formula, the same one more formula. Actual sales for 2011 28 lakhs. The BEP in sales 15 lakh. If you subtract the 13 lakhs we are getting. Okay, moving forward for calculation. Calculation of profit when sales are given 22 lakhs. Now we need to find out the profit. So the contribution of sales first we need to find out. So 22 lakhs are given in the question. Okay, now we need to apply the PV ratio 20%. So 4,40,000 we are getting. After getting 4,40,000 we need to subtract the fixed cost. So 3 lakhs, if you subtract 1,40,000, you are expecting a profit. At the sales value 22 lakh, the profit you can expect 1,40,000. So moving for calculation of sales, when profit is given 4 lakh. So what is the sales is required? The required sales, the formula total fixed cost, okay, plus desired profit divided by PV ratio. Everywhere we are applying a PV ratio. Total fixed cost we know 3 lakh. Required profit 4 lakhs plus divided by PV ratio 20 into 100, so 35 lakhs we are getting. Okay, moving for the break-even chart here. Under break-even chart we call it as a CP. Okay, cost value, right, profit, cost value profit. So there is a relationship when you are seeing the graph or referring a graph which is clear, giving a clear picture or visuality will be there here. So which is nothing but the graphical method. The graphical approach for single product. The second way to find out the break-even is to use graphical method. So because with the help of graph only, so we are able to understand much better. So the graphical method is based on the break-even chart. So graphically represent the cost, value, profit. The cost, value, profit. So everything which is related to cost, profit, value. Okay, so relationship and the break-even point. It is an attempt to help the management their understanding of this relationship and so enable to decide the optimum level of output so that they can decide what changes they can do, how much I can expect profit. So that's what. So there is one problem to understand much better. The selling price is given 60,000 per unit. Variable cost is given 40 per unit and the fixed cost per month is given 25,000. Okay, so next additional information, forecast sales is 1,800 unit. So if you want to find a fixed cost per unit, so 25,000 divided by 1,800, so easily we can find out the per cost value. And required to prepare a break-even chart using the above data. Whatever the above data is given, so with the help of data, we are plotting the data. So moving, first we need to calculate the contribution is very important and even the fixed cost information is given. So for that reason, marginal cost statement we are preparing. Now there is 3 column, one is particular and cost per unit is given and the total last one is a value or amount value. So selling price is for 60 is given. Okay, from the sales, if you multiply the sales value 60 into 1800, 1,08,000 we are getting. And next one, less variable cost is given 40 rupees. 40 into 1800, we are getting 72,000 as a value basis. And the contribution also easily we can, for 60 minus 40, 20 rupees you are getting. 20 into 1800, we are getting 36,000. So from the 36,000, we need to subtract the fixed cost, whatever it is given in the question. So 25,000, if you subtract 11,000, which is nothing but the profit positive we are expecting. So whatever the data we are getting, so same thing we are plotting into the graph. Okay, so now sales value, variable cost value, contribution, fixed cost, and profit. Okay, now variable cost plus fixed cost, which is nothing but total cost. Okay, total cost we are getting 97,000. Okay, so moving forward, so with the help of information, we can find out what is the break-even unit is given. So break-even unit, fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. The fixed cost value we know 25,000. The contribution per unit we calculated with the help of marginal cost statement. So 20. So 1,250 units we are producing, which is nothing but the break-even unit. Now with the help of break-even unit, so next immediately we can calculate for the break-even sales. Break-even sales, the same formula, fixed cost divided by contribution per unit into selling price. Okay, if you multiply with the selling price, so obviously we can get, see, the fixed cost 25,000, contribution per unit 20, and selling price which is given in the question 60. So 75,000 we are getting. The sales value we got 75,000. So again, we can apply one more formula using a break-even PV ratio. Okay, so first fixed cost divided by PV ratio is there. So immediately we need to calculate the PV ratio, how much you are getting. So PV ratio, we know the formula, contribution per unit divided by selling price per unit into 100. The contribution per unit to 20, okay, divided by selling price 60. If you multiply, PV ratio always there in the percentage. So we need to, we will get 33.33%. Okay, and one more formula also suitable to find out the PV ratio, and the fixed cost divided by BEP in sales. Fixed cost we know there is 25,000. BEP sales we calculated 75,000 into 100. That is also giving same answer. Okay, moving. Otherwise, there is one more formula to find out the break-even sales. Nothing. Break-even unit. Break-even point in unit into selling price. This is also giving a same answer here. And so once we get the PV ratio, immediately we can apply this formula also. Fixed cost we know 25,000. PV ratio we are getting 33.333% into 100. So same answer 75,000 we are getting. Moving forward for a graph, whatever the data. So with the help of marginal cost statement, we got sales value. Sales value we are getting 1,08,000. Okay. 1,08,000, and the variable cost 72,000. Variable cost value 72,000. Fixed cost value which is there in the question 25,000. So fixed cost, total cost, how we are finding? Fixed cost plus variable cost. Okay, fixed cost, variable cost 25k plus 72k, which is nothing but 97,000. 97,000 we are getting. So the sales value also given, even the fixed cost value also given. Now first and foremost, we need to find out the break-even point. Okay, now we know the break-even unit. So the break-even unit, we calculate a break-even in units. 1,250 units we produce. Okay, so sales value, break-even sales, break-even in sales 75,000 we are getting. Okay, so the same thing. So x-axis represented unit, y-axis represented value or cost. Okay, so now x-axis, when you are referring for the unit, so we need to mark for 1,250. So we need to extend till where the break-even sales is 75,000 you are getting. So the dotted line, which is where it is intersecting, this particular point is called for break-even point. So once again 1,250. So we mark here. Okay, so we dotted line we have extended till where 75,000 break-even sales value. So this particular dotted line will be intersecting one specific point. So which point is called for break even point. So immediately with the help of data, whatever we calculated from the cost of marginal cost statement, so we know the fixed cost to 25,000. So we are referring the y-axis for value. So 25,000, we a straight line, so which is called for fixed cost. Okay, and the variable cost which is starting from here only, which is starting from here. We know the variable cost, we are getting 72,000. So the line which is going from the origin, so we need to extend one straight line here. Okay, so the specific area, the sales value, the total fixed cost. So from where fixed cost line is extended from this specific point, so we need to intersect the break even point. So this specific point line, okay, direct line, which is a total, okay, cost, the total cost line, so which is starting from the fixed cost origin point. Okay, so we need to extend. So again from the origin, so intersected point of break even point, when you extended line, this line is called for sales revenue. Okay, so this fixed cost and x-axis origin, so there is a difference, so we call it as a margin of safety. Okay, now there is a here, this specific area we call it as a profit, and this specific area we call it as a loss. Okay, so I hope you clear this graph. Keep on watch for next section. Thank you.